Yeah. Run it back nation, what is good? It is your boy DJ Eastwood. Run it back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. The Philadelphia 76ers get into the win column for the first time in 2022, so we're going to put on the victory shades. And we're going to absolutely erase every single thing we said about this team for the past 3 games. None of it exists. We never said a bad thing about this team. We were never calling for Doc Rivers to be fired after 3 games. Yes, we were. Still calling for him to be fired even after this win. I don't care. But we're going to erase everything we said. The season starts right now. The Philadelphia 76ers are 1-0 on the 2022 NBA season. Whatever those first 3 games were, I don't know. Those first 3 games were a figment of your imagination, just like the intro to this stream. Shout out to everybody in here. Hit the like button. This is brought to you by Manscaped.com. If you want to look as smooth as a good NBA team looks against the Indiana Pacers, go ahead and get you a Lawnmower 4.0. Skin-safe technology. Flashlight. It's quiet so you don't wake up your grandma in the other room when you're doing your business. It's waterproof. You can take care of yourself in the shower. Step out looking like Michael Phelps. Come on, man. It's 2022. Nobody rocks bushes anymore. Go to manscaped.com. Promo code NOINTRO20 for 20% off and free shipping. They're trying to help you out. So the Philadelphia 76ers start the season 0-3, and they finally get a dub against the Indiana Pacers. I didn't even click on the damn box score. My bad. They finally get a dub against the Indiana Pacers. 120-106. So we are in the win column. Yeah, we're 1-3. But that's a good start. I don't know what we were doing those first 3 games. Shout out to everybody in here. 120-106. So the first thing I'm going to say is the Indiana Pacers stink. Man, is that franchise ever going to be good? One of the youngest teams in the NBA. A good way for the Sixers to get their feet back under them. A good way for the Sixers to kind of, pick themselves up off the ground, man. Get a little fire going on. If you're struggling at the courts in the pickup games, and then you maybe you go down to the YMCA and play against some 11-year-olds, to boost your confidence a little bit. You know what I mean? Go cross over a grandma or a 9-year-old or something like that. Get your confidence back a little bit. Then you can go back and play with the big boys again. That's what we just did. The Indiana Pacers are the 40 and over league in terms of the YMCA, or the 10 and under league, whatever. Not real NBA competition. The Spurs, I actually think, do have some pretty good scoring talent, and the Pacers have some pretty good scoring talent, but they're just not a good team. So we get our first dub against the Pacers. Not mad about it. Not mad about it at all. The first thing that I noticed watching this game is we looked like we were giving a little bit of effort. We looked like we were trying a little bit. Maybe we were out here breaking a sweat. We looked like we were trying to rotate on defense. We looked like we were chasing down loose balls. We looked like we were going for rebounds. A lot of parts in the game. There was definitely still parts of the game where we looked like the 76ers that we all know and hate. But it looked a lot better than the first 3. Definitely has something to do with the competition. But, it's a good way to get out of the hole that we were digging ourselves. I think offensively, we were actually moving the ball. We were playing with pace. They showed a stat at the beginning of the game. The Philadelphia 76ers are dead last in the NBA in pace so far this season. Of course, when you have a player like Joel Embiid who lives in the post, you're going to be one of the slowest paced teams in the NBA. But part of the reason for that is also because not only do we have Joel Embiid, we start the season out trying to feed Joel Embiid every single possession. Like I went over those advanced stats after game number 1 against the Boston Celtics, and Joel Embiid had a 36% usage rating to Harden's 22 to Maxey's 20. And Doc Rivers and the crew clearly watched Run It Back Philly because they watched the damn postgame. They watched my recap, and they did exactly what I said they should do. Run the game through James Harden. Joel Embiid is not the number one option on this team right now. James Harden is the number one option on this team. And that's just the reality. And, in today's game, faster pace, more three-pointers attempted, more up and down the floor, more fast breaks. It's just what you have to do. You can't run the game solely through a center and hope to keep up with other NBA teams, because even if you succeed, you're trading threes for twos. Other teams are going to run and gun. You're going to take 23 and a half seconds to get a shot off in the post. It just doesn't make sense in today's NBA. So that's the main difference I saw in this game from the jump. We were running. We were gunning. It wasn't pretty most of the time. A lot of the time it wasn't pretty. But we were definitely moving the ball. We were picking up the pace. Harden was the number one option. Joel Embiid was fitting in where he fits in as a number two. Obviously, the most dominant center in the game. Obviously, the best post player in the game. But it's a lot of moving parts, trying to figure out, okay, how do we get... We see what we have in Harden now. He's back. He's back, He's back in shape. The hamstring's healthy. He's getting elevation on his jump shot. He's hitting wide open threes. He's breaking people down off the dribble. So we see what we have in James Harden. To figure that out, how do we get the most out of that while also getting the most out of Joel? And we're still trying to figure out how to do both of those things and get the most out of Tyrese Maxey. People that think Maxey should come off the bench still have a pretty good argument after today's game, because Maxey did not have a very productive game. Let's start right in the fourth quarter, because the run that we made in the fourth quarter basically exemplified what we have in this team. The run that we made in the fourth quarter showed us the actual potential of this team when everything's well-oiled, when we're firing all cylinders, when we're cooking with hot grease, So Joel drops 11 in the third. We come out in the fourth. Pacers made a couple of runs. We definitely had some lazy play. There was definitely some spots of the game where I was thinking, we're actually gonna blow this too. You know what I mean? And part of me, like some of you in the chat said before the show even started, part of me wanted it. Part of me wanted it. Part of me was like, go ahead, blow this game to the Pacers. That way we can really rip into Doc Rivers. You know what I mean? And it looked like they were going to do that at certain points. But just like the fourth quarter of that Bucks game, we came up short in that game. But the fourth quarter of that Bucks game, we had a perimeter player who can score, carry the team, spark the team, bring the team back. That's what you need in today's NBA. A perimeter player. Joel Embiid, when he's in shape, which he's still not right now, when he's in shape, he's great. But can you look to a center to create shots, to create offense, to create points, to drag you back into a game? We now have healthy James Harden. And he drug us back into this. Well, we were already ahead, but he drug us out of the hole we were digging ourselves while the Pacers were making a run, just like he drug us back in the fourth quarter of that Bucks game. So the fourth quarter, the Pacers cut it to 10. You got scrappy little TJ McConnell out there. Not really much of a basketball player. Was never a fan as far as NBA. Him, taking minutes in the NBA. I know people call me a hater of TJ McConnell, but I just keep it a buck. I always commend TJ McConnell. Shout out to him for making a career out of being a little hustle guy that's going to dive at half court, and I guess that's good enough to remain an NBA point guard. But anyway, TJ McConnell steals an inbounds pass. You know how he does. You're not paying attention. He's like those kids you play on 2K. They're just hanging out at the baseline trying to steal the damn inbound pass the whole time. They go on a run because TJ gets that steal and makes a nice pass, and they get an and one on Joel. We come down the other end. Joel tries to dribble the ball in a triple coverage outside the three-point line. Classic Joel Embiid turnover right there. Classic. Offense getting a little stagnant, standing around, not too much movement, kind of reverting back to what we've been doing. Pacers cut it to 9. Mathurin's out here getting buckets. I think that's how you say his name. That kid's nice. They cut it to 8 points with 7 minutes left. I'm thinking, wow, the Pacers are really going to come back and win this game. They cut it to 8 points with 7 minutes left. We get a little spark from Maxey. You know, he has TJ McConnell steals the ball. He dives on the floor. I think that was the same play where he dove on the floor, ended up with a jump ball. He wins the jump ball against the center. And Harden hits a big sidestep 3 to put us up 11. Come back down. Harden drops, how do you say his name again? Mathurin? Harden drops Mathurin on the crossover. This is now 3 players I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 defenders I've seen James Harden make fall on the floor with crossovers. The first 2, one in the Bucks game, 2 in the Celtics game, I think. He airballed both of them. You know, and people say, hey, you got to make that shot. I didn't really care at the time in the Celtics game because I'm just happy Joel. I'm just happy James Harden. I'm sorry. I'm still a little sick, by the way. Choking up a little bit. I'm just happy James has the speed back and the quickness to take somebody off the dribble, to drop somebody like that. But this time he drops Mathurin, stares at him, and actually hits the 3. So he hits the sidestep 3. He hits that. He drops Mathurin on the dribble, hits that step back, stare down 3. Classic James Harden. I'm not going Houston Harden. Somebody in the chat when we first started this. Smart sliding was hilarious, JD. Somebody in the chat when we first started this said Houston Harden is here. I'm not going Houston Harden, but it's as close as I think we're going to get. You know, I don't think he was in great shape when he was that first year in Brooklyn and he was on MVP lists just because he still had the elevation on the jump shot. And if James Harden's hitting threes at a decent percentage, everything else in his game flows. You know that. You know, he's going to get to the free throw line. You know, he's going to get to the rim when he's healthy and he has that little bit of a burst. You know he's going to facilitate. You know he's going to drop dimes left and right. He can average 10 plus assists per game. No problem. So James goes on a single-handed 6-0 run in the fourth, and that sparks us to put this game away. And at that point of the game, we go on a run where every single major part of our offense was involved. And I think that little run, right after James Harden did that 6-0 run by himself, I think we went on a 3, 6, 10, 12, 18, 16, 18-4 run, something like that. That section of this game showed me the potential of this roster completely. You know, if you just look at that little section of the game, we get the 6-0 Harden run. We get a nice swing to Maxey. He catches and shoots a 3. We come back down, and Embiid's just running to the elbow, catching and shooting a jumper quick. 5 seconds into the shot clock. So that's a way that we're getting Embiid involved in the offense and still keeping up the pace, right? So we get a Maxey 3, we get an Embiid jumper. We get a Tobias Harris catch and shoot 3. And then we get a play where Embiid sets a screen, kind of rolls out to the right, gets the ball on the wing, realizes miniature Buddy Hield is the only one there, dribbles right at him, finishes under the rim. So you get a 6-0 Harden run, you get a Maxey 3, an Embiid jumper, a Tobias 3, and an Embiid roll on Buddy Hield. So Harden, Maxey, Tobias, and Embiid, And I think that was a small glimpse of how well this offense really can be when every single part of the offense is, flowing together, finding their spot, fitting together, having chemistry, and doing their thing. So that's how I feel about that. And then, of course, Furkan Korkmaz comes in the game and immediately chucks a 40-footer. Immediately jacks up a 47-foot three-pointer. Shanks it off the back of the rim. Shout out to Furkan Brickmaz. So, overall, we played better defense. We moved the ball better. We had better pace. The bench actually produced in the game. We had 18 first quarter bench points. We had, the first couple games when we were our 3 losses. I mean, we had a game where we got 5. I'm pretty sure the game against the Celtics opening night, we had 5 points from the bench. I think we had maybe 8 or 10 in the Bucks game. I don't think we had very many in the Spurs game either. So we had 18 first quarter bench points and finished the game with 36 points off the bench. Obviously, make or miss league, there's going to be games where DeAnthony Melton's bricking shots, which I think that's where Doc Rivers comes into play. Play somebody else. Bench players are inconsistent players. It's what they always are. It's about who you use and when you use them. But Melton was hitting his shots in this game. Melton had it going a little bit in this game. Melton, who else, man? Melton had 11 points off the bench. He was 3 for 6. He was 2 for 4 from 3. I like that. 5 rebounds for a 6'2 guard in 17 minutes is damn good. You never have to worry about effort when it comes to DeAnthony Melton. Daniel House Jr. had 6 points off the bench, 2 for 4 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3. George Minivan Niang had 13 points off the bench. Another guy that's you can't rely on. He's not going to be consistent. He's not consistently going to give you 13. He shot 50% from 3, 3 for 6. But when he's going, he leads the bench unit. Kate Scott at one point said George Niang looks like he lost weight. I don't know where she's getting that from. This is still definitely the fattest guy in the NBA. Cement shoes on, bro. Hardly even comes off the floor. But yeah, he was catching the ball in his spots. He was catching the ball in rhythm. He was knocking down them threes, and he was diving headfirst over the scorer's table. Watch your head. George Niang's just a funny player, man. He's funny to watch. Yeah, he was knocking down them shots, man. So you got production from DeAnthony. You got production from George Niang. I was a little surprised to see some Shake Milton minutes in this game, especially at the point that you saw Shake Milton. Him and DeAnthony Melton were on the floor together, I believe. I might be wrong about it. I think I'm wrong about that. Either way, Shake Milton got in the game. And that was interesting to me because, I don't know what Doc's going to, randomly experiment now. I thought, he should experiment the first 20, 30 games of the season. He should experiment with his bench rotations more than he did in the first couple games. First couple games, he was on, an 8-man playoff rotation. We're playing the Celtics game 1. Got to go 8-man playoff rotation. It's like we're in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Bucks. We're on an 8-man playoff rotation. Now he finally starts to, okay, let me see if this Shake Milton guy, who I've been using for a couple years now, can actually play. Didn't really get anything from him. 6 minutes, a rebound, an assist, I think. But he gave Shake Milton some time. An interesting thing also about this game is that the first game you got Montrezl Harrell with 20 minutes off the bench. And that was a big fear of mine coming into this. I know Romp, right when we made the signing for Montrezl Harrell, was definitely concerned about Doc Rivers' love for Montrezl Harrell and if he's going to leave him out there getting smoked on the defensive end. So Doc Rivers, I don't know if it was his decision or a collective effort, or if, Daryl Morey's back there saying, hey, Doc, you're 0-3, Doc. You got to switch some things up here. You got to adjust. I know Doc Rivers, adjust is not necessarily in your vocabulary. But you got to adjust. So he actually plays Paul Reed in this game for 8 minutes. 8 minutes and 58 seconds. 9 minutes, basically. You don't get any points from Paul Reed. The stat sheet won't really show it, but I think Paul Reed's energy and Paul Reed's defense clearly puts him, in my opinion, right now ahead of Montrezl Harrell in the backup center spot. And I say that for the exact reason that Romp told me I was going to say that. He said, wait till about a month into the season, you'll be saying, play Paul Reed over Montrez once you see how bad he is defensively. Didn't take a month, Overhyped the hell out of him in the preseason games. Obviously, nobody's playing any defense in the preseason. Montrez made the preseason fun to watch. But yeah, let's call it what it is. Montrezl Harrell has been an absolute turnstile on the defensive end of the floor in the paint. And like I said, Paul Reed's stats won't show it, but when Paul came in the game, a lot more energy there, just a lot more defensive prowess in general. Gets a nice steal, gets a nice block down there on the other end, and saves the ball inbounds. So you got to balance, do I play Montrez? I know Montrez can give us points in the paint. I know Montrez has, awareness around the rim offensively. But like everyone was telling me when we signed him, realistically against NBA centers, he's a very bad defender. So you got to balance. Do I want to play Montrez for his offensive game in the paint and his pick and roll ability, or do I want to play Paul Reed, who's going to give you just a little more energy, just a little more athleticism, and, flat out better defense? A block and a steal in 8 minutes. Exactly. That's how I feel about that. PJ Tucker, man. I don't even feel like I saw PJ Tucker in this game. PJ Tucker was in the game for 20 minutes. He got 3 points. He hit that 1-3 from the corner. Of course it was from the corner. 3 rebounds, an assist. PJ was quiet. Tobias Harris. Tobias was up and down for me in this game. And Tobias is up and down for me in every game. Tobias is up and down throughout the course of a whole season. Beginning of the game, I was like, man, Tobias is just chucking and bricking. And he came around to finish the game 4 for 10 from 3, 7 for 14 from the field. 8 rebounds again. I love almost 10 rebounds from Tobias Harris. That tells me he's given effort. That tells me he's trying to play the stretch 4 position. And he's actually giving effort. The one stat that's going to show you is somebody trying in a game is the amount of rebounds he gets. When somebody that's 6'8" at the power forward position, like Tobias Harris, finishes a game with 1 rebound, it tells me he was shying away from the paint. He wasn't crashing the glass. He wasn't trying to get those boards. So I like when I see Tobias finish a game with 8 rebounds. Overall, he gives you 18 points, 4 for 10 from 3. I also love the fact that Tobias Harris got up 10 3-point attempts. Another thing we were saying, last season, if this guy's going to turn into a catch-and-shoot player, if this guy's going to turn into a stretch 4 and really fit what he has to be on this offense, which is not a ball stopper, a ball mover, a ball continuer, for lack of better words. Catch the ball, shoot it. If the shot's not there, move the ball. And that's why Romp was saying that Daniel House is better for this offense than Tobias Harris. I don't believe that. I don't think Daniel House is very good really at all. But if Tobias Harris is going to try to fill that role of a stretch 4, shoot the ball when you're open, move the ball when the shot's not there. It's good for him to get up 10 3-point attempts in a game. He was always right around a 40% three-point shooter, you know? It's just that he only shot like 1 or 2 a game, legitimately. I'm pretty sure most of his career, he's like a 3-pointers a game type of player. He loved to score his points in the paint. He loved to back to the basket, wannabe Carmelo Anthony in 2004, turnaround fadeaway jump shot. But it seems like he's making a valiant effort to become a modern day stretch power forward. And yeah, in the first quarter, I was right. I said I felt like Tobias Harris was bricking a lot of wide open threes. He was 1 for 5 in the first quarter. So that's why I felt that way. What did he do in the second half? Second half overall, Tobias Harris really got it going, was 3 for 4 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3 for 8 points. I think Tobias, maybe there's hope after all. Maybe there's hope after all. Maybe we can live with the Tobias contract, and he can be a stretch 4, and we can move on, and we can win a championship with this team, and we can overcome the deficiencies of Doc Rivers. No, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is, what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. This is a good win. This is a great way to get your feet back under you, get your confidence going. You'll see Doc Rivers. You'll see Doc Rivers' stubbornness rear its ugly head plenty more times throughout this season. Joel Embiid, it was interesting in this game, man. He had 26 points. It looked, I don't know how to explain it. I guess this is what it's going to look like. I guess we're not seeing the dominant Joel Embiid, but that's a good thing because we don't have to. I think we're doing kind of exactly what we've been saying recently, which is, you have to have a different offensive game plan. You can't just force feed Joel Embiid the ball in the paint and have everybody standing around the perimeter and watching Joel and then hope that he can pass out of a triple team. That's not going to work. That's the offense that, for whatever reason, they thought was going to work game 1 against the Boston Celtics. One of the teams that's the best at defending Joel Embiid in the paint. You thought that was the offense that was going to work against that team. Obviously, we know what we're talking about, us fans. Me and all of you in the chat. We know what we're talking about. Because, damn it, we just end up being right. Some guy was in my comments a week or so ago after the first 2 games or whatever, defending Doc Rivers. And he was like, you guys just sit up here and complain and then give your ideas and then complain about the loss again and then act like you know what you're talking about. And I was like, you just described sports reporting. And he said, this is why you'll never be a head coach. And I was like, I don't aspire to be a head coach at all whatsoever. I aspire to make a living talking about sports teams. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, they were trying to run that offense against the Boston Celtics. That was the exact opposite of what you should have done against the Boston Celtics. We sat up here and said it, and now they come out against against the Spurs. I thought they were trying to run the game more through Harden, and Harden had a terrible game. They come out against the Pacers. They run the game mostly through Harden, Embiid in the post, Embiid at the elbow as a second option in the offense. And it starts to look better. I'm just saying that's what we were saying you should do, and then they do it and it works. Sports coaches are not that much smarter than sports fans. It's just reality. It happened with the Eagles last year. The whole city's saying, bro, you have to run the ball. What are we doing? Nick Sirianni starts running the ball. Oh, look, we were right. Because it's a sport. It's not that complicated. This is a 5-man game. It's not that complicated. It's really not. Coaches get an ego. They think their way is the way that it should happen. You know, Phil Jackson with the Knicks at the end of his coaching career. Doc Rivers with the Sixers at the end of his coaching career. So they made some adjustments. I don't know if it was Doc, because I don't believe Doc to be one that makes adjustments. I think it was a collective effort. And I don't know if Doc's buying in. You know, that's the reason the Boston Celtics traded Doc Rivers, because he didn't want it to be a collective effort when what's his name? Not Brad Stevens, the higher up. Anyway. Kevin McHale? Not Kevin McHale. Can't think of his name. Celtics guy. He was the GM. Now he's the GM of the Jazz. Danny Ainge. That's why they traded Doc Rivers, because he didn't want it to be a collective effort when Danny Ainge was starting to say, hey, we need to be more analytical. We need to start evolving. We need to start playing the game a different way. And Doc was like, no, I know what I'm doing. I won a championship in 2008. I created Rajon Rondo in a lab. I'm responsible for all of this. And they traded him. I just think maybe at this point in Doc Rivers' career, he's actually buying into something else and saying, maybe you guys are right. Or they're like, Doc, if you don't switch something, you're going to get fired, bro. They might have just called him up straight. You're 0-3. If you don't make an adjustment, you're getting fired tomorrow. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. What do you guys think's up with Tyrese Maxey, man? 3 for 11. Is this on the whole game or is this? Yeah. Tyrese Maxey. You know, I haven't seen I guess it's who's going to tell him? One of the run-it-back OGs, man. Naquan says, Eastwood, get Brockno's ball, please. It would be fire. Who's going to tell him? One of the run-it-back OGs. Go fill my man in on that situation. But anyway, we haven't seen everything firing on all cylinders yet. You know what I mean? We get a good Joel Embiid game. Against the Spurs, we get a bad James Harden game, and we get a pretty good Tyrese Maxey game at 25 points. We get a great James Harden game. We get a good Joel Embiid game. We get a kind of bad Tyrese Maxey game. So we're still trying to figure things out. We're still trying to, work out all the kinks, get everybody performing at their highest level together. So, there was ups and downs in this game. It wasn't pretty at all. We end up beating them by a nice margin. The score is a little bit deceiving because it was closer than you wanted it to be in the fourth quarter. But we got it together on that James Harden little 6-0 personal run, and then Maxey hits a 3, Tobias hits a 3, Embiid at the elbow, Embiid rolling to the rim, and we got it rolling and we put it away. So this team definitely has yet to show its full potential over the course of a whole game. But when we do get that game, where James Harden's dropping a 30-point triple-double, where Joel Embiid's giving you 25 and 15 and some good defense, and Maxey's giving you 25. I don't know if that probably has to do with the, more staggering. Doc Rivers probably has to stagger him more. He probably has to stagger him more. They do not run plays for Maxey at all. True Tactive says. I agree with that. They probably have to stagger him more, for Tyrese Maxey to really get his full potential. Actually showed heart tonight. Exactly. You know why? They watched the Phillies last night. That's exactly why. They watched the Phillies, and they were jealous. They heard the fans. They heard that stadium down the block. You could hear that arena. You could hear that arena in Pittsburgh. And they said, damn, we got to start playing like that. So, yeah, you saw a more flat-out effort tonight Joel, I don't know if it's plantar fasciitis or he was just out of shape because he actually doesn't do anything in the offseason. But again, first 18 games last season, he averaged 23 points per game. The 50 games after that, he averaged 33 points per game. So he's never been a quick starter when it comes to starting the season. I know he's always been they've always had him on a resting program because he's always been so injury prone. So maybe he's just used to not practicing and not working out in the offseason. But I think slowly we're starting to see a quicker Joel Embiid, a bouncier Joel Embiid, more effort from Joel Embiid. 8 for 13, 1 for 3 from 3. I like the fact that he only took 3 3-pointers. You know, we're fine with Joel Embiid 3-pointers. He can hit threes, but you don't want him out there shooting. I think the first game of the Celtics, he shot 6 of them. You know, I don't really want 5, 6, 7, 8 3-point attempts from my 7-foot center. He only had 5 rebounds, but he had 3 blocks. He was active on the defense at the rim. He was active protecting the rim in this game, and that's one of the main reasons he was getting booed, you know, a couple games ago, because he was blatantly just standing in the paint, letting players do layups. So you saw more effort from Joel, and you know maybe he's slowly getting back in shape. Maybe we'll have one of those classic post-game interviews, you know, where they ask him how his conditioning is or where he's at, and he says he's at 69%, and then he laughs. Yeah, he looked a lot more active. He looked like he was giving a lot more effort. He looked like he was making a much more of an attempt to protect the rim. So, you know, we got it rolling, man. We got it rolling. I'll take call-ins, man. I forgot to open my phone app here. Hold on a second. Let me get it up here. Let me get it up and rolling. We'll take some calls, man. We'll hang out. We'll take some calls. Oh, now the app's not even there. That's cool. Somebody get me a producer. All right, we're gonna start the phone app here. Create meeting. Join meeting. Boom. Somebody's already in there. Oh, okay. All right. Is it Rachel? Is that it? Oh, my little intro music's playing there, man. We'll wait till my little intro music's over. We'll take some calls. The main question right now is, after we rip this team to shreds for 3 games, are you back? Are you back to believing? Are you back to believing this is a championship level team? I want to point out this too. Jordan, shout out to you. I think it's funny that the Harden haters have been real quiet lately. Yes, they have. Also this. Dave, oh my sound went crazy again, man. What is going on here? I open an app and it resets my sound settings. I need a computer technician. I need a producer. I need everything. Thank you guys for letting me know that. Is it still up there? All right, let me fix the sound here. Come on, bro. All right, hold on. Let me get to the sound. Here we go. System. Here we go. Sound. And yeah, my mic's back on 1,000%. I don't know why. I'm gonna have to Google that. I'm gonna have to Google that and really figure it out, man. Because I can't figure out why it's blasting, dude. It makes no sense. It just randomly jumps 1,000,000% in volume. Oh, I got Rachel on the line, man. Is it Rachel? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just on a phone plan. My name is Mike.
Oh, all right, Mike. You said Mike?
Yeah.
All right, let me change your name to Mike, man. So I'm not calling you Rachel.
Yeah.
There you go, Mike. What's up, Mike?
But, you know, I've been seeing your videos the last few years, but you know, I've been watching them a lot the last few days. But like, you know, I wanted to talk about you know, the lack of Doc Rivers rotations, and yeah. I'm really wondering, like, where's Matisse Thybulle? Like, he should be getting at least 18 minutes a game, in my opinion, and possibly even starting against teams that do small ball. I feel like if Thybulle gets at least 18 minutes in the first 3 quarters against Boston, Brown and Tatum don't pop off for combined 70. and Vassell doesn't drop 20 on you in the first half. Like, he's definitely not the answer for the fourth quarter. You want Tobias to be hitting, but in LA, Montrez and Tobias were most efficient in their careers playing together. So I don't know why Doc isn't like going, all right, let me start off the game, get my big three going, and then I'll bring in Tobias, Montrez, or Paul Reed or whatever. Just keep the energy going.
Yeah, it's a tough call on Matisse. I know in that Toronto series last year, the very first game that they didn't even guard him at all. We were legitimately playing 4-on-5, and he airballed a couple of them, and you haven't seen him since. Literally, since that series, you haven't seen Matisse Thybulle. I agree, against the Celtics, he's a guy you want out there slowing down Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and they dropped 70 on us, so he should have tried something. But when Matisse, is not only not hitting threes, but is like hesitating to even shoot them, then it's hard to really play him because of what the defense is going to do. But if Matisse could be a decent 3-point shooter and make the defense respect him out there, then you can play him. But I still don't think he should be getting 0 minutes. I agree with that completely because there's a way. I don't know if it's 18 minutes, but there's definitely a way to play him 8 minutes where you still at least get the defensive spark, you get the energy. And he's not really out there long enough to kill you in the half court. But
if you leave Thybulle open and you double Harden, who's one-on-one, Joel, that's a win for us. And if you crash Embiid, and a better shooter than Thybulle is going to get open. And I just think that a lot of teams, and what we're running Harden as the perimeter defender right now, and Maxey on the wing at defense. That's absolutely atrocious. If Thybulle is your perimeter defender, you have a lot more chance to be better on transition defense and dominant on both ends of the floor to establish a presence throughout the course of a game.
Yeah, for sure, man. I don't know what Doc Rivers is doing with him. And also, if you're not going to play the guy, then why the hell didn't you trade him when he clearly has value? Other teams clearly value his defensive ability. Why didn't you trade him and get something for him if you're not going to play him at all? Now you got a kid sitting there not playing at all. It doesn't make any sense. So, I'm 75% with you on that. I think it's tough. It's a tough call on Matisse Thybulle, but Doc should, if you're going to have him on the roster, you should be at least trying to figure out a way to get him on the floor.
Well, he's definitely better than George Niang. I don't care if Niang can hit 3 for 4 from 3 every once in a while. That people thought J.J. Redick was a defensive liability. You're going to talk about when we play Toronto, Niang's out there, Pascal's going to switch on to Niang and abuse him. I don't understand how Niang is leading the bench in minutes.
I think they're really the exact opposite of each other.
Too, we're up by 25 at one point, and then it gets to a 6-point lead in the fourth quarter, and I'm like, okay, you have Melton, Tucker, and Thybulle, and Paul Reed. How did they – and on your bench, how did they close 25-6?
Yeah, they went on a lot of runs, man. They went on a lot of runs. They started. Well, first of all, the Pacers were shooting terribly from 3, so we have to remember that. I guess the numbers will show that we played great defense, but there was a lot of wide open shots that they missed. So part of me was like, they're going to start making these shots, and then we're screwed. And they started making them. They went on some runs. They started making the shots. They started getting some hustle. There was the run they went on in the third or the fourth. They had a couple of turnovers, a bunch of fast break points. So. They just started out hustling us, and I thought we were going to completely collapse. So we brought it back together. But, yeah, it definitely wasn't pretty. It wasn't one of those, the last time the Sixers just convincingly won a game against a bad team was 1983, because I haven't seen it in my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, I think the starting 5 is extremely talented, but throughout the course of a season, when you're playing these teams with elite ball handlers, our starting 5 it's just too comfortable for guys to go in one-on-one and get easy buckets because the best defender is PJ Tucker on the perimeter in the starting lineup, and he's old and slow and shouldn't be playing over 30 minutes in the regular season.
Hey, he played 40 minutes against the Spurs, and he was playing small ball center a lot. So, yeah, Doc's rotations are still,
40 minutes and 20 minutes. Good thinking, Doc.
Mike, hey, you got anything else for me, man?
No, that's it. I mean, I'll probably be calling in, throughout the season. But, yeah, just I had to get that Thybulle and this rotation thing off. Hopefully Doc hears me.
I don't know if don't bank on Doc changing his ways. All right, Mike, thanks, man.
Yeah, seriously. All right,
later.
Have a good one.
That is Mike. It's not Rachel, man. It's Mike. Run it back queen in the chat. Everybody say hi to Danny. Say hi right now. Be nice. Jarrett Newsom on the line, my guy, Jarrett. What's up, Jarrett?
Jared Newsom.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man? Hey, I got to give it up to you on the music, man. I don't even feel like I need to have some wine with that or something.
What, the whole music?
Yeah, the music.
I don't even think I know what it sounds like. I don't even think I know what it sounds like, honestly.
Yeah, but anyway, it's not you. But hey, check it out, man. Hey, I kind of like them a little bit more or less because they had a little more dog in them. And our boy from Miami that we picked up, hey, he doesn't even need to score. Hey, all you need to do is roll around on the ground, get in people's way. And he's the enforcer, bro.
PJ.
And this game right here, I'm gonna tell you something. They need to let Maxey push the rock up the floor, and then old boy General is the general of the floor game. I'm telling you, because Maxey, if he's the type of player that has to touch the ball.
Yeah. He does.
That's just the way I feel.
He does. It still feels like they don't have a real plan to get Tyrese Maxey, out there and running like that. So hopefully they do at some point.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that, bro. We always had them throwback conversations like we just sitting around at the bar stool or something. But I'm gonna tell you, the simple thing I think about our team is they got to learn each other, man. This is basically a totally different team, a totally different Harden. I mean, he looked good when he came in with us last year, the first few games. Mm-hmm. I'm glad he got in shape. Because I'm telling you, at one point I think he was gonna sabotage us, but he took less money, so hey. He's in it to win it. The man needs a championship to solidify the fact when he goes to the Hall of Fame. So, but the thing is, with Joel, he's out of shape, which is obvious, but he still can kill these people because they can't do anything with him because he's too big, too agile, too mobile.
Yep.
But the thing is, with our team, man, we just have to be consistent.
Yep.
That effort, baby.
Yep. So you got hope that they're gonna get it together, man. They look bad for 3 games, but so you got hope that they're gonna get it together and they're gonna make the city proud. They're gonna join the other 3 Philadelphia teams that are out here winning games.
Gotta give it to you on that, man. Them Phillies looking good, man. But I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna end it on this, bro. If we look at these teams, these powerhouse teams, all these teams have played together for some years.
Yeah.
Look at Boston.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Milwaukee. Now,
yep.
Hey, it's an aberration. It's an aberration with the Spurs, okay? Oh boy, Pop showed it. He said, "Look, man, you're not on my level. I can come over here and beat you with some scrubs." And y'all. That's the thing. Pop was showing him, like, you talking all this junk you in my league. You're not.
And Brett, would you ask Pop that question? Yeah, maybe he was offended by that. Hey, you're not on my level.
That's basically what he's telling me. And then Brett Brown comes back and he wins on the bench. But I'm like, man, come on, man, Doc.
Yeah, we lost to Brett Brown, man. It all came full circle.
Be cool, bro. Take
all right,
care.
Jared, thank you.
Yep.
What a guy Jared Newsom is, man. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, man. I said that, too, in the middle of me being angry about those 3 losses. The Spurs, the first 2 I wasn't actually that angry about, and I said that, you know what I mean? I said I'm happy about what James Harden looks like. I think we have a lot of moving parts. We have a lot of things to figure out. I wasn't mad about the Celtics and Bucks entirely because those are 2 strong teams, and like Jarrett just said, they've been together for a long time. They have the chemistry. The San Antonio Spurs game was completely unacceptable. That was not okay. But yeah, he's right, man. Maybe we build the chemistry and we get used to all the moving parts and get rolling together and we're what we thought we should be this season, man. Bo on the line. What's up, Bo?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing today?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Hey, so I didn't get a chance to call in earlier this week. I've been out of town with weddings, but, I wanted to say I think we're stuck in football mode, or maybe it's playoff baseball mode with the excitement of the other Philly sports teams.
Uh-huh.
But we're freaking out way too much about the early losses. And hear me out here. everyone's complaining that Embiid looks slow and out of shape. The first 18 games of last season, when he was the rightful MVP and leading scorer of the league, he had an incredibly slow start if you break down the numbers of his first 18 games.
Yeah, it was 23 points per game. And then
I do not – sorry.
Yeah, it was 23 points per game, and then the 50 games after that, it was 33 points per game. You're right, yeah. It was slow start. You're right.
Right. So my whole thing is I don't want to see Embiid in mid-season form in October, because when you are over 7 feet tall, I mean, you can look at the worry about this Wembanyama kid. There are real numbers to support that players over 7 feet tall or close to 7 feet have really short careers, especially when they're very active with the ball. Look how short Yao Ming's career was cut in his prime, right?
Yeah, Yao Ming.
I don't want
the other tall beanpole kid that just got drafted that missed his whole rookie season already because he guarded LeBron James in a pickup game. Chet Holmgren. Yeah, Chet Holmgren, man. Kristaps Porzingis, guys hardly ever plays half a season. Yeah, you're right.
Anthony Davis. I mean, it's a reoccurring theme here. I don't want mid-season Embiid in October. We're talking about how we want Embiid to turn up and go crazy. Show me that in May. Show me that in April and June. But right now, if he's starting slow, good. That means he's not putting too much strain on those knees. We know he's got a trick foot, a trick knee. He's got some problems. I'm not trying to rush this guy hard.
Yeah,
Harden looks great.
Yeah, I think the first 2 games I wasn't like upset about because I was on the same page. It's just the Spurs game, to me, the effort was unacceptable. But other than that, yeah, you're right. We've been freaking out. I mean, can't say you're wrong about that.
Oh, right. Look, I totally hear you on the effort level of the Spurs game. I watched it on a cell phone in the middle of a wedding reception. It was depressing. But at the same time, you know what, man? Look at the Boston Celtics last year. There's plenty of teams that start slow, but that's why it's an 82-game season. Give you a slow start, we're gelling. You also got to think, I mean, we've added pieces over the last few years, new star here, new star there, but we've completely remodeled an entire bench unit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, but I think it's the lingering Doc Rivers thing too that people don't have faith in. You know what I mean? If it was a new coach, I think we'd be like, okay, they're gonna do it differently. They're gonna adjust. They're gonna experiment. I think Doc Rivers is part of it. That people are like, oh, here we go with this guy again, and he's not gonna change anything, and he's gonna run. It looked like he was choosing an 8-man rotation the first couple of games, and we were like, where is this guy? Where's this guy? What's the rotation? So. I think Doc Rivers is part of the reason people don't have faith in his team because people are sick of him. But and he's known to be stubborn and refuse to adjust throughout his career. But so you have faith that this team can win a championship with Doc Rivers.
So here's what I will say first. I will preface with you are 1,000% right to not trust Doc. I mean, he's the league record holder in blown 3-1 series. I'm pretty sure he has the most comeback losses in NBA playoff history. I might have to check myself on that, but
no, he does. Yeah,
the guy's a bum.
Yeah, he has the most blown leads in game. Yeah, the most 20-point comeback losses, and he has the most 3-1 series losses. Yeah.
Right, but here's the big difference, right? Doc was that same moron when he won it with the Celtics. The reason they won was the team was just so star-studded, there is no other option. Yeah. I'm sorry, but if Maxey, I know he had a slow night tonight, but if Maxey throughout the season shows us where we know he should be, this is where Harden is at, and Embiid can come back to last year's form. That is very similar to that Boston team with the 2 large, great players and a young guy that's if you break down the breakdowns of it can make sense. Yes, I believe it can still work with the overwhelming amount of talent on this lineup if we click on all cylinders. Will I credit Doc for a championship in any way? No. But Yeah, we could definitely do. I think this roster is too stacked. I think Montrezl Harrell is going to be a way bigger ad than we're giving it credit to, as well as the Daniel House trade. I think DeAnthony Melton could be a six-man of the year candidate by the end of his career, or a starter, and a good one at that. I mean, he's a better version of Matisse Thybulle. He's, an elite defender that actually has a stroke from the three. Yeah, I definitely believe this team can win off pure talent like Doc did with the Celtics. And I won't give him any credit like I don't give him any credit for that championship. He wasn't teaching Paul Pierce to be great at basketball. Paul Pierce was a freak.
No, he thinks he taught Rajon Rondo how to be an all-star point guard. He actually thinks that. I've heard him say it plenty of times.
That's like Steven Seagal telling people he taught Anderson Silva the front kick. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, so I've said that a lot this offseason, and I think last year you have to have a good enough roster to outweigh Doc Rivers' deficiencies. And, that's possible. Like you said, it happened in 2008. So, we'll see. It's a good way to look at it. It's a good way to stay positive. Coach doesn't actually matter, you know what I mean? I could have coached that 2016 Warriors team to an NBA championship. Did Steve Kerr really? You know what I mean? I agree with you.
Yeah. Steve Kerr is not going out there saying, okay, Steph, now you're going to take a step, bring up your arms, bottom hand level. Like, that's not how that's working. He's saying, hey, Steph, go crazy, bud.
Yeah, here's the ball.
I mean,
yeah.
He's literally the face. Do you think Steve Nash is over there telling Kevin Durant how to knock down threes as a 6'11" guy? No.
Nash is getting blamed for a lot of things, though, because of the Ben Simmons being a 6'10", just stiff standing around. But, that's just another that's a different story for another day. That's just another coach falling victim to, enabling that. But, yeah, I agree with you.
Well, come on. Watching Ben Simmons struggle is like watching the Phillies go to the World Series. It's just too freaking sweet. I can't believe this is my life. I feel like I'm a millionaire from it.
All right, Bo. Hey, thanks for calling, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, can I give you one last thing, though, just something to go forward with?
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, you remember, man, when Michael Carter Williams was the best basketball player in this town. You remember in the 2015 season when we had like 12 wins.
Yep.
There's no reason for us to be freaking out and miserable right now. When we're Philly, we're miserable literally 90% of the time. I'm looking at this roster. I'm staying positive because I've been miserable for 10 years with this team.
I like that.
20 years.
I like that perspective. I think maybe I needed that. So thank you for that.
Thank you, brother.
Right,
I'll
man.
call again soon.
All right, later. Yeah, Bo giving us a little, hey, Eastwood, you're freaking out a little too much after 3 games. You're freaking out a little too much, man. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things to figure out. Spurs game had me hot, red hot I was after that Spurs game. That was just pathetic effort to get beat the way they did against that Spurs team. But he's right. And when you put into perspective how bad the Celtics looked the first half of last season, it's a long season. You take your time, you figure things out, you figure out what works, you figure out what doesn't work. Maybe the coach makes it more complicated and more of a process than it has to be. But slowly you get it together, and then maybe the second half of the season you're the best team in the NBA, like the Celtics were last season. So, I feel him on that, man. Man, I hope he's right. I hope he is too. What's up, Rachi boy? Sixers probably 6th seed. Woo! Are you being serious? I think we can do better than the 6th seed, man. I think we can do better than the 6th seed, man. What else we got, man? What other box scores should we look at? Toronto versus Miami. Toronto beats Miami 98-90. What's Miami's record, man? I'm not going to use this. I hate using NBA.com, man. It's such a bad app to try to read stats and games and things, man. I like the Yahoo Sports app on iPhone. That's the best app to use. If you don't use that to check NBA scores, you should do that. Rasan, what's going on, man? What's going on? Let's see. Raptors beat the Heat 98-90. All right. The Heat, man, are they good or bad? What's their record? Still can't see the record. What's wrong? What's wrong with this here, man? Why doesn't it just show the record of the team next to the team, man? They're 1-2. Miami Heat are 1-2. Jimmy Butler 26 points. Tyler Hero 22. Kyle Lowry's been stinking it up, dude. Kyle Lowry's been stinking it up. Bleacher Report app is good. I never used Bleacher Report. I've been using this Yahoo Sports app for a long time. I'm just so used to it. Kyle Lowry had 7 points on 1 for 8 shooting. 2 assists in 36 minutes. What's up with Kyle Lowry, man? Is he done? Is he washed? Is Lowry washed? The Knicks get in the win column. 115-102 over the Orlando Magic. Banchero puts up 21. Bol off the bench with 19, but the Knicks take the dub. Julius Randle leads the team. I still think that's not what you want. I don't think you want hopefully Sam Cassell start maneuvering behind the scenes. I think he is maneuvering behind the scenes, man. I'm seeing adjustments. I'm seeing things change, and I'm not giving. I'm not going to sit here and say Doc Rivers looked himself in the mirror and made some change, man. But yeah, as far as the Knicks go, Julius Randle, man, I don't think you're going anywhere with Julius Randle being your leading shot taker and your leading scorer. He just shoots you out of games, bro. He just eventually shoots you out of games. But the Knicks get a dub. Celtics lose 120. Wait, the Heat are 1-3. I'm sorry, that record didn't update after this score. The Celtics lose to the Bulls. 120-102. They're the Celtics' first loss of the season. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum both have a pretty bad shooting night. 8 for 18 and 8 for 23. The Bulls, 25 from DeRozan, 22 from Dosunmu. Ayo Dosunmu? Am I dumb for not knowing who the hell that is? Ayo Dosunmu? Who is that? The Bulls get 22 from Ayo Dosunmu. I know some of you are going to say, you don't know ball if you don't know who that is. I never heard of this dude. He was a rookie last year. Played 77 games, averaged 8 points per game. And he dropped 22. I'll have to check. Ben Simmons had 7 points. Fouled out again. Bruh, just somebody sent me a screenshot of Bleacher Report hyping up Ben Simmons with 6 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. Io? It's Io? All right. Yeah, Bleacher Report said Ben Simmons with a solid outing. Yeah, that's what it is. Casual. I'm a casual for not knowing who that is. Yeah, they said Ben Simmons had a solid outing with 6, 10, and 10, and I just retweeted it like maybe an hour before this Pacers game. And I said, when did 6 points become acceptable in the NBA? Like, this is way worse than what he was doing with the Sixers, because the Sixers were at least trying to get him to score. The Sixers were at least saying, you need to be aggressive. If you're not going to shoot, you're not going to shoot, but we need you to get to the rim. The Nets are taking this stance of just like, oh, you don't need to score at all, bro. Just go play defense and pass the ball around. You're getting 7, 10, and 8 from Ben Simmons. Did the Nets win though? I mean, if they're winning game, no, they lost to the Grizzlies by 10. That's interesting. I'll have to watch the highlights of that game. The Jazz were one of the only undefeated teams left in the league, which was surprising, and they lost to the Houston Rockets. The tanking, rebuilding Houston Rockets. I know Kevin Porter Jr. is nice when he's not fighting people in the locker room. Jalen Green's nice. Is that Jabari Smith Jr.? They have another rookie, though, or second-year player. Jalen Green and who else am I thinking of that played for the Rockets last year? That was a nice rookie. I don't remember. But the Rockets win 114-108 over the Jazz. Timberwolves lose again. That combination of Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, man. Desmond Bain had an 80% field goal percentage. Desmond Bain's nice, man. I'm a big fan of Desmond Bain. Big fan of a lot of those role players on Memphis. Caller on the line from Fremont, California. What's going on? Yo.
Philly.
What's up?
Yo, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Hey, I just want to say, we won the game today.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about Coach Rivers playing Paul Reed finally.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it?
And I think that if he just keeps that going forward, we won't have as many issues. But you got to remember, it's the Pacers.
Yeah.
And, I still saw some miscommunications this game. So defensively, we still need to be better.
Definitely.
And if we lost this game, I think Rivers would have seriously been fired, which may have been worth the loss. But, something you said a while ago really stuck with me. And I think, as the season progresses, it's going to become more apparent that this team is it's like a Ferrari, and you really need to have some guy at the wheel who knows what he's doing. And Doc Rivers, it's just too much for him. There's too many moving parts. The rotations are going to get complicated, and he just doesn't have the acumen to make those rotational adjustments. So I think Doc Rivers still needs to go. I think we do need to promote Sam Cassell. I think that's the best way to follow the Phillies pattern and, promote from within if we really want a shot at a championship. And that's all I got to say, man.
I think that could still happen, honestly. We could get going, and then there could be a stretch in the middle of the season, where maybe we go on a losing streak or whatever. It could be already kind of happening behind the scenes. Like I said, I've seen some adjustments now that I didn't see coming, and I'm not going to sit back and say that was definitely Doc Rivers all by himself. So, he's never been one to buy into a collective effort. He's always wanted to be the head guy in charge, or he says, get rid of me. That's why he got traded in Boston. That's why he got fired in Orlando. That's why he got fired in L.A. So that could still definitely happen. And, yeah, I don't think they want Sam Cassell to walk because, Doc's not going to coach for many more years anyway. So you want a future. You want a coach that you can have for 10, 15 years. You probably want it to be Sam Cassell. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think Sam has, the respect to the players at this point. I know that he's in Harden's ear on the sidelines, and he's in Embiid's ear. So I think Sam Cassell would be perfect. And honestly, look what happened to the Phillies. They're in the World Series after they made this move that the Sixers could make. So, just follow the pattern, Daryl Morey, and let's get this championship, man. These Raptors games coming up are going to be huge. And, if we don't have a good showing against the Raptors, I think Doc Rivers' ass is gone. I think he's out of here.
I've actually been wanting to make a video breaking down Joe Girardi and comparing him to Doc Rivers because there's a lot of similarities. Girardi only has one championship with an overpowered New York Yankees team. The team that anybody, they had some of the, who they have, A-Rod and Derek Jeter and Gary Sheffield, I think. That team was insane. And, he also got that ego and he got that, this is how I'm going to do it and this is what's going to work. And everybody was starting to say, maybe you should change it up. And he was like, no. And they finally got rid of him. And then you get a guy in here that doesn't have that ego, doesn't have that championship New York Yankees reputation, and he's a little more open-minded. And, yeah, they end up in the World Series. So I look at Doc Rivers the same way, man. He won a championship with an overpowered team. His ego's on a million. He literally thinks he's Greg Popovich. And, yeah, we'll see what happens. But it's interesting. It's interesting to compare him to Girardi.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you, so man. You take care, bro.
Yeah, thanks for the call, man. Take it easy. Yeah, that's an interesting comparison. I I can get down with that. I can get down with that for sure. You know what I mean? Hey, they might be. They might be already behind the scenes, knowing, Sam Cassell is the future. I love Sam Cassell, man, and he definitely deserves a shot at a head coaching job. And I think the whole city, anybody that really knows what's going on with this team, would be very, disappointed to see Sam Cassell walk to another franchise and have 61-year-old Doc Rivers still here. We'll see. I don't know, man. I don't know. What other NBA games were there that I needed to talk about, man? Yeah, somebody in the chat said, I didn't know. I don't know who thought Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert was going to work. I don't know either. When they made, first of all, they traded 5 first-round picks for him and 2 pick swaps. It was an insane trade. They gave up that much for Rudy Gobert, guys. The guy's just a tall shot blocker. That's all he's ever been. Who caught lobs from Donovan Mitchell. How do you give up that many draft picks for a tall shot blocker? That makes no sense. If he had an offensive game, I could see giving up that many draft picks for a healthy Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid in his prime is worth that many draft picks. A guy who can be that good of a defender and can also, play the offensive side of the ball as good as any center in the NBA in NBA in the last 20 years. But Rudy Gobert, he's just a defender. Why would you give up that many draft picks for Rudy Gobert? You got 11 points, 2 turnovers, and 3 blocks from Rudy Gobert in this game, and he's a -9. And you got Karl Anthony Towns. In today's game, you're really trying to play 2 centers. I think Karl Anthony Towns is a perfect, 2022 modern day prototypical stretch 5. You should just put some stretch 4 on the floor, some wings, and a point guard. Why do you need 2 centers? Who's in charge over there? Brett Brown? Embiid and Al Horford together? Oh. And the Spurs win again. And, these dudes are probably going to prove me wrong this entire season, the San Antonio Spurs, man. The Spurs win 115-106. The Spurs are now 3-1. And the guys that I was talking trash about after they beat the Sixers, Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. Vassell drops 23, Johnson drops 18. Pirtle, 14 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, and a block. The Spurs are out here beating teams up, bro. They're supposed to be tanking. But they got Greg Popovich. Do you think Doc Rivers could have Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Pirtle playing this way? No. This is called coaching up. This is what Greg Popovich can do. Doc Rivers is the exact opposite of that. You can give this guy superstars, and he still might not get it done. Phoenix, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm going to drop like a 10-minute video tomorrow around noon. Just talking about the Toronto Raptors, what they're doing right now, what they're looking like right now, what the Sixers, what we can expect with the Sixers going against them tomorrow night. What I think about the matchup. I knew the Pacers wasn't really a good test. I thought, the Spurs, Vassell and Johnson, the Spurs end up having some buckets. But I thought the Pacers, if we would have lost to the Pacers, then yeah. But I thought this is definitely a team that, we can get our confidence back and come out here and, look a little bit better. Pirtle had 8 offensive rebounds. This guy's killing teams out here. But yeah, I'll preview the Jazz. I'll preview the Toronto Raptors and Sixers tomorrow. Right around 12 o'clock. Might be one of those dining room cell phone videos. Or I might come up here in the studio. You never know. Never know how the boy's feeling. Crazy Baller G's, what's up, man? Is the 76ers now Harden or Embiid's team? I think they're doing exactly what we thought they have to do. You cannot. James Harden is exactly what we've needed for a long time. And so a caller, a couple of games ago made a great point that when we had Jimmy Butler, was Joel Embiid the number one option? No, he wasn't. In crunch time, Jimmy Butler was the number one option, and Joel Embiid was just playing center. Joel Embiid was picking and rolling and picking and popping and getting to the elbow and doing the things that he can do. But it seems like everybody for the past year who's been saying, Joel, you can't win a championship with your center being your number one option and expecting a center to be creating offense. It seems like you guys are right. And whoever brought up that Jimmy Butler point, I think it was a great point. And now we have Harden, and we have the same opportunity. We actually have an elite level perimeter player that we can run the offense through. Joel Embiid can play center, can still be his dominant self at the center position, but it not only makes more sense for today's NBA, it also makes it easier on Joel Embiid. I think the first 4 games last season when James Harden first got here was the same way. We saw it happen. We were running the offense through James, and it made Joel Embiid's life easier. It got him easier buckets. It got him easier one-on-ones, mismatches, everything off the pick and roll, making other teams switch, making other teams help off ball, all those things. So, yeah, man, I think it's clear. You give Harden the ball. You run it at the top of the key. You let Joel Embiid play center. And we just got to figure out kind of how to get Tyrese Maxey going and doing his thing simultaneously. It probably has a lot more to do with Doc Rivers staggering him and James, than anything else. It's Niang's team. Newsflash, George Niang is the number one option. I agree, Phoenix. They finally have a player the caliber of Embiid. It's, people can say whatever they want about Embiid, and I got on him a little bit after that Spurs game. And I don't remember if I got on him last year. I know he had a broken face. I definitely got on him in the summer. The fact that, is this guy ever going to be healthy, But, yeah, Joel Embiid's entire career so far in Philly, we've basically just been searching for another player that's at that level. And we didn't find it. Jimmy Butler's the only time we had it. And he's not really a good three-point shooter. We finally got an elite perimeter player who can kill you from outside the three-point line. The one play they ran today, bro, it was just a pick and roll. Harden just kind of stood there, waited for the screen, went left, went right around the screen, and eventually both defenders went with the screen, and Harden was just standing there wide open. And knocked down a three, I like this too, Mike. I agree with this too. No more ISOs for Toby. I agree with that. Ben Simmons, 17 points and 14 fouls this season. Ben Simmons to China. I don't even think China wants him. Let Harden cook. Let's go. Maybe I'll make a t-shirt, man. Maybe I'll make a t-shirt of the pecking order. James, Joel, Tyrese. 1, 2, 3. And I'll put like half of Tobias Harris' name at number 4. Just playing off of that Doc Rivers practice thing on NBA TV, There's a pecking order. But I think the pecking order is James number 1. And I love that. I love that for the team, and I love that for Joel Embiid, because you should not have to create offense as a center. You should not have to try to carry a team in the fourth quarter of the playoffs as a center. On that note, who should Maxey run the second unit? I kind of think so. I don't know if we have enough wings, though, really, to take Maxey out of the lineup. Who do you put in there? Do you start Daniel House? Do you start... I don't know who you start. But in a perfect world, yeah, Maxey comes off the bench and then you're just killing teams for 48 straight minutes. In a perfect world, even if Maxey's starting, you staggered. I think the best thing to do, and I'm not a coach, but I think the best thing to do is take Maxey out of the game before, or take James out of the game first, leave Maxey in there, and then stagger him the whole game. Have one of those two players on the floor at all times. And a lot of times try to have Maxey on the floor without Harden, try to have Harden on the floor without Maxey. Maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe that's the way to do it, man. The pecking order, pyramid. All right, let me write that down, bro, so I don't forget it. T-shirt idea, pecking order, pyramid. Oh, man. I got new merch coming out, too, by the way, man. If you click the link in the description, you can check it out already, man. There's trucker hats, there's beanies, there's T-shirts, there's hoodies. But I got a big order. I don't really want to drop it officially. You can go buy it right now if you want to, but I don't really want to promote it officially until I have it in my possession. So there's a big order on the way. Pecking order. I think that'd be funny. All right, guys, listen. Thanks for hanging out with me. 280 people in here. Please hit the like button. Give me 280 likes. Sixers get a dub. We get in the win column. It was the Pacers, but it's nice to get your confidence back. And I think we showed in this game, in certain points of this game, we showed people what this team is actually capable of when everybody's firing on all cylinders. So we'll see what we look like tomorrow against Toronto, man. Run it back, nation. You the best.